Welcome to More Than a Therapy Couch, the podcast where we go beyond the walls of traditional therapy sessions. I'm your host, Tiana. In a world that's constantly changing, so are the ways we navigate our mental and emotional health. We're here to embrace the notion that healing and growth extend far beyond the walls of a therapy room. Throughout this podcast, we'll be joined by a diverse array of experts and everyday individuals with compelling stories to help bring awareness to whatever you may be facing. We'll unpack the complexities of the human experience, tackle taboo topics, and challenge the stigmas surrounding mental health. So grab your emotional support water bottle, find a comfy spot, and join us as we embark on a journey that goes more than a therapy couch. Let the session begin. As a reminder, the topics discussed are for educational purposes only and are not meant to be taken as clinical advice. If you are concerned about you or a loved one's mental health, consult a mental health professional or call SAMHSA's 24-hour hotline at 1-800-662-HELP. We're here with our founder and CEO of Tree of Life Counseling Center, Aly Resnick. Hey, Aly, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So for the viewers who are watching, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a licensed professional counselor and a licensed mental health counselor in New Jersey, New York, Florida, and Arizona.
Oh, a lot of states.
Yeah, a lot of clients.
And how long have you been practicing for?
So I got into the field in 2006. I graduated in 2008, and I was fully licensed in 2011.
So you've been practicing for
Almost 20 years.
Oh, very, very nice. And then in terms of just Tree of Life, is there like a particular reason as to why you decided to kind of open your own practice, or tell me how that was like for you?
Sure. So I was working in agencies where I just didn't agree with how they ran their practices, how they treated their patients, how they treated their clinicians. And for me, mental health was really important and making sure everyone had access to quality mental health. Mm-hmm. And I think in agencies, they do the best that they can, but they're limited. Mm-hmm. And so I was sitting in my cubicle one day and I decided that this was just not it for me. I had been written up for the third time that I didn't have enough sessions with enough people, and I kept thinking, I'm doing the best that I can. Mm-hmm. And I registered my business online in my cubicle, came home, told my mom, and the rest is history.
This episode is brought to you by Confections of a Rockstar Bake Shop and Catering. Are you looking for a sweet treat or custom cake and desserts for your next event? Stop into their Asbury Park location where everything is made from scratch using high-quality ingredients. Custom orders can be placed online at www.confectionsofarockstar.com or by calling 732-455-3510 today.
In your own words, can you tell us what mental health is?
Sure. So for me, what mental health is, it's just basically who we are, right? Like everyone in this world suffers from something, whether it's anxiety, depression, ADHD, or postpartum, if they're having a child or something. It's just something that we all experience. And I think for a really long time, it was kind of told to us not to talk about. Mm-hmm. There was a stigma. We weren't allowed to say anything. You were hush-hush. You were kind of
do as you're told.
Yeah,
right? I'm the adult. You're the child.
Right. And so you're put in the corner and kind of like ostracized. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, part of why I wanted to be a counselor was to help people because I struggled with anxiety most of my life. And I knew that I never felt like I got help because I couldn't. Mm-hmm. There wasn't access to help that really I needed.
No one really talked about it either.
There were kids in my class that were running around and no one realized that they had ADHD. They were just labeled the bad kids. Mm-hmm. And I think because of that, I knew that I just needed to change that. And for me, that's what mental health is. It's basically all of us. We all go through something in life.
Absolutely. Yeah, myself, I definitely suffer from anxiety, have suffered from depression before. So I think a lot of people don't really realize that it affects anyone and it can affect anyone. And I think the more you are aware with yourself and your feelings and your emotions, I think the more that you'll be aware of, oh, this is actually how I'm feeling. I'm not, having a shit day and woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Like, this is why you're acting the way that you're kind of acting.
Absolutely.
And then I know you mentioned, anxiety, depression. Is there any other type of like conditions where someone would possibly seek mental health treatment?
Yeah, for sure. Anxiety, depression, postpartum, like I said, if you've had a child, any type of obsessive compulsive disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar, any learning disabilities, those are all mental health. Really, like there's so many things that we don't even realize are, disorders. But there's help, and people I think don't realize that there's help.
Yeah, and how would someone, like, if they are, maybe experiencing something that is kind of new to them, where let's say, for example, they're getting more angry, or getting more like irritable, like quickly, like, and that's if they're able to, kind of recognize that, or even if they're not able to, and a family member has kind of said, listen, I've noticed this about you. What is like the next steps for that person?
Yeah.
Where would they kind of go from there?
They can go to our website. They can check out the articles that we have there. There's 1,000 things listed over there. Not 1,000, but there's a bunch. They can also call us, make an appointment, talk to one of our counselors. Talk about it, let it out. There's resources on NAMI, which is the National Mental Health website. That's a great resource as well. And then also there's medication management, right? So if you're feeling like these are things that you can't manage through talk therapy and any of those things, you go see a prescriber, right? They give you a medication. They walk you through the process. And sometimes those things are just kind of an added bonus to therapy.
I know there has in like the past, a lot of people kind of may say like, well, how do you know if you need like medication? Like who, I guess, would be a good, client or patient or candidate for medication? I know, and it may not be, your expertise, but, what you've seen at your practice.
Yeah, so I'm definitely, it is not within my wheelhouse to prescribe medication. Unfortunately, I didn't take that route. But, you work with certain people and you kind of see patterns of behavior and tendencies, and we can recommend that they go for a psych eval, whether that's with a psychiatrist or, a nurse practitioner, which is what we have here. We have two. They would do the evaluation, and through that evaluation, they will be prescribed, if necessary, whatever they need. And, then they kind of go from there. Not everyone's a candidate for medication.
And that was actually kind of leading to my next question. What works for me, does that mean that it also works for you too?
Absolutely not. It's with life, right? Not everything works for everyone. Nothing is cookie cutter. I mean, there's certain things that, we know work for certain things, like Prozac for anxiety, things like that. But, just like certain types of therapy, right? CBT works for some people, but doesn't work for everybody. So everyone is an individual, and that's also part of why I wanted to start a practice, because I wanted people to be treated like family, essentially, right? You come in, you are evaluated, but the treatment is very specific to you, what you need, what works for you. And if it doesn't work for you, we try round 2. And if that doesn't work, we try round 3. There's endless options.
Yes. And then finding also like what works best for you, and seeing what would be the best course of action. And I think also depends on what your goals are. I feel like with certain people, like their goal may be to, maybe not have as much anxiety about this while they're at work, like,
Absolutely.
or it can be little things in terms of that as well. Yeah. So I want to start, or rather end with this last question. So if you were stuck on an island, what would be your favorite book that you would bring with you, and why? Mind you, you're stuck on an island. You don't have anything else. You got one book.
Yeah, nothing else. No towel, nothing?
Nope, just a book.
Just the book. All right, better be a big one. So it's going to be Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. That book truly changed my life. I read it in grad school, and it's just, you're taking a perspective from someone who's been through the absolute worst. He's been through absolute hell. He's a psychiatrist in the Holocaust. And he gives you a way to look at life in another meaning. It's like it doesn't have to be this way. There's other options. And I think that's very true for mental health. you don't have to go through the suffering. You don't have to suffer alone. There are so many people that can be there for you, whether that's family or friends or, us, as a team. There's always someone out there to be an advocate for you. So you don't have to go through it. So his search for meaning was life and happiness. And we want to provide that for people.
Yeah.
That's why I love that book.
Oh, I got goosies, as Joe says. So if you are struggling with your mental health, and if anything that we kind of mentioned today kind of resonated with you, stay tuned for our next episode. We're going to deep dive into specific topics on mental health. So whether that be anxiety, depression, postpartum, we're going to have different counselors from Tree of Life actually come and speak with us. And we're going to, film another episode and get into the nitty-gritty stuff. So if you liked this episode, make sure to give a thumbs up and a like, and we will see you on the next episode.
Awesome.
Bye.